Someone who was lucky enough to experience surf at its peak, it was amazing. Voice chat was booming, movement was smooth, and the high skill floor kept you coming back over and over to try and improve. Truth, nuke, it hurts. Move like skirt, it's dirty, I'm in a hurry, it's getting blurry. Okay, let's just get into it. As Counter-Strike grew, the surfing community split in two, skill surfers and combat surfers. Now I could try and explain this, but I think the inventor of surf as a whole, Mariowned, can do a much better job.
Combat surf will always have a place in my heart because that's how it started. I mean, even Surf the Gap, like I was saying, it was just counter-terrorist. It was just a death match, having fun with friends. Like if you died, you could reconnect and respawn. So it wasn't like there was no mission other than having fun. Whereas skill surf, it's like, it's like a single player, like get to the end as fast as possible.
Hearing the story of surf's creation directly from the source was a surreal experience. However, that's not the point of this video, so if that suits your fancy, 3 Clicks Philip did a great job of explaining it here. Now let's get back to what happened to Combat Surf. As server hosting costs rose and community hubs slowly shut down, fewer new players ever stumbled into a Combat Surf lobby. On top of that, during the transition to CS2, almost every single new patch would ruin another core aspect of surfing. The most notable of these were the first wave of ramp bugs that came from Source 2 in 2023, the October 2024 jump ramp patch, and the September 2025 acceleration update. Ramp bugs are tiny clipping seams in an otherwise smooth ramp that inconsistently show themselves and stop you in your tracks mid-ramp. Now these always existed to an extent, but they were never as common or as harsh as in CS2. This immediate increase in bugs pushed many server owners and players off of CS2 entirely. Many in the surf and combat surf scenes have never even launched the game, but instead stuck to the legacy branch, CSGO. These changes affected both skill surf and combat surf, but with how much bigger the skill surf community was, it was able to push through and survive, while combat surf was almost completely wiped off the face of the planet. But the truth is, combat surf never actually died. Today, if you open CS2 and fire up the community server browser to search for a populated combat surf lobby, you're mostly greeted by silence. The era of packed, booming lobbies running non-stop rotations of Surf Ski 2 or Surf Buck Wild is officially written into the history books, but it doesn't have to be forever. I actually had an ulterior motive for making this video. I simply want to play combat surf again. It was heartbreaking when just a few weeks ago I decided to drop into a combat surf server, but all I saw were ghost towns. My call to action for this video isn't about liking or subscribing, although you should do that. I want all of you, whether you've played combat surf, skill surf, Titanfall, or even just base game CS2, there is one active server left. Well, technically, there's 2 notable survivors. For the EU, there's EraSurf, based in Germany. I was told that this is the real, last active combat surf server. However, in NA, there's also Karma Gaming, which has a small but tenacious community. The caveat for joining both of these servers, as I teased before, is they're only in CSGO. This is mainly because aside from the general Source 2 bugs, the over 20 years worth of mods which run Combat Surf as a game mode are completely broken by Source 2. Darth Elmo has a great tutorial about reinstalling the Legacy branch on his page linked here and in the description. Please go check out his tutorials and montages on YouTube. Join the Karma Gaming Discord, or if you're in Europe, join EraSurf, and let's bring back the game we all know and love. It really comes down to human infrastructure. SkillSurf had built-in insulation against player-based drop-offs. Like Mariowned mentioned, over the years SkillSurf became an optimized solitary sport. It built global leaderboards and a massive network of map porters who were willing to dump hundreds of hours into fixing ramp geometry for free. More importantly, SkillSurf doesn't require a lobby full of people. A player can start up Surf Kitsune at 3 AM, grind for 3 hours to beat their PR, and have a completely fulfilling session without seeing a single other person. Combat Surf, on the other hand, by its fundamental design, demands a critical mass of human beings. Once player counts dipped past that critical threshold, it started a fatal loop. Empty servers meant new players immediately disconnected, which meant server owners couldn't justify paying monthly hosting fees, which meant servers got shut down, driving the remaining population away forever to one day search up videos just like this one, wondering what went wrong. Beyond engine bugs and rising hosting costs, looking back at Combat Surf isn't just about analyzing why it died. It's about remembering what made that era of Counter-Strike so remarkably special. Back in the 2000s and early 2010s, Counter-Strike wasn't about grinding premier ranks, sweating over elo, or opening armory stars. The main menu wasn't a sleek dashboard pushing you into an automated queue. It was literally just a raw server browser listing hundreds of independent community IPs. Because of that, community servers became our escape. You didn't just join a random game, you had your server. You had that one specific Combat Surf IP bookmarked, running Surf Japan PT or Surf Great River Remix, where you'd log on every single day after school or work. You knew the regulars, you knew the admins, you knew the ridiculous Quake kill sound effects.
Double kill!
And you knew the exact vibe of the lobby the second you spawned in. Combat Surf was the ultimate casual playground because it balanced high-level mechanics with pure, unadulterated fun. It was this magical middle ground where you could hit a 360 scout no-scope off a ramp, but the second you hit the floor, you were just sitting in spectator chat, laughing with people halfway across the world. Voice chat was a chaotic, beautiful mess of 2005 era mics, background music, team callouts, and people just hanging out. There were no penalties for leaving and no pressure to perform, other than the shit talking, of course. It was just raw, unfiltered gaming for the simple sake of having fun with friends. It was an era where the game gave us the canvas, but the community built the art. You'd spend 4 hours on a Friday night in a packed lobby, not because you were chasing a reward or a battle pass tier, but because sliding down ramps at the speed of light with 30 other people blasting compressed mic audio was simply the best place on the internet to be. The players who spent their teenage years mastering mid-air scout headshots, memorizing spawn rollouts, and perfecting air strafing on classic 64 and 66 tick servers have grown up. They've finished school, gotten full-time jobs, started families, and moved on from the late-night lobby grinds that defined an entire era of online gaming. And it's easy to look at that decay and feel a sense of tragedy. Combat Surf might seem like a total relic of the past today, something preserved only in legacy CSGO Steam branches, old Internet Archive screenshots, and decade-old YouTube montages. But I've given you the tools to see for yourself just how alive it still is. So while some Combat Surf lobbies might be empty today, the memories aren't going anywhere. For those of us who were lucky enough to be there when the mic audio was peaking, the server tags were glowing, the lobbies were overflowing, and the ramps were silky smooth, Combat Surf will never just be a forgotten game mode. It will always represent the absolute peak of Counter-Strike's community spirit, and a golden age of digital culture that we were privileged enough to call our own.